What is up, Nerfers? Welcome back to the Nap. Now, we've got some breaking news for you. Now, presidential debate going on? No. That's not bringing us back. We ain't talking about that shit. Marvel pushing everything out a year? Nope, not that either. There's some important stuff going on. Country's on fire? No. Jamie Foxx might be coming back to the Spider-Man franchise, but with Tom Holland hinting at a multiverse theory. So that's what we're talking about today. Josh, how are we doing?
We're tired, bro. Everything you mentioned before this breaking news has got me tired and exhausted. But otherwise, we're good. How are you doing?
Exact same. Honestly, I didn't even watch the debate. I saw some highlights, and I was just like, I'm really glad that I didn't watch it because it sounded like a shit show.
I got one sentence. I condemn white supremacy. That easy. Boom.
There's been great memes. The meme potential of this one has been excellent.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So
sadly, that's the most quality thing we got out of that debate. Is great memes.
That's what we're all watching for, isn't it? It's like we put a reality show star in there. I mean, and we're getting a reality show.
We watched it live, and it was an hour and a half of exhaust. Honestly, I actually wish we could get that Joe Rogan 4-hour debate because
he'd shut the arguing down.
He would, no. But here's the thing. I mean, we had an hour and a half to cover all those topics. Chris Wallace, God bless him, came with like 12 topics to cover in an hour and a half. I mean,
you can't do that. Like, you can't do that.
I don't watch cable news. I don't watch any of the cable news channels because they bring up a topic and they bring on a guest, and then, hey, you've got 30 seconds to say your piece before we're moving on to the next thing. And that's what it was for an hour and a half, and I couldn't take it, man. I'm hoping that they do something before the next one.
I think a long format system is the only way to have like a proper debate. And don't call it a debate. Don't have an audience there. Like, I mean, I know they didn't have one here because of the pandemic. But there were like we need these debates to be long format discussions. Sit them down. Don't give them a time limit on what they need to say. Just cut them off after they've talked past like 5 minutes or something like that. Like, there was a debate between Bill Nye the Science Guy and some dude who was like, he was like funding some program to build like a real like life replica of the Ark.
Of Noah's Ark, right?
Of Noah's Ark. Yeah. Ken Ham. Ken Ham.
Is this recent? I haven't heard of this.
No, it's not recently. This was a few years ago, but I think the full thing's actually up on YouTube. But that was an actual debate. Like, that was the first debate that I ever actually watched where it was clearly a debate, because they each had like 5 minutes to talk on a topic that they had. They would go back and forth. There was no real arguing and talking over each other. Like, it was super calm. They were trying to get their points together. It was really civil, and that's how a debate should be. And it was around the same time frame. Like, but it was like in an hour and a half, but we're arguing about one subject. Like, Bill Nye was saying that the Ark could not have been physically or scientifically possible, and that the evidence doesn't support it. And Ken Ham was saying that he had proof that it did work.
Right.
Over an hour and a half. And it was a really concise debate. A presidential debate where they're like, you need to solve healthcare, you need to solve gun control, you need to solve the race problem, you need to solve police brutality, you need to solve like foreign relations, all that. You can't do that. You can't cram all that in there. What I can tell you that we can cram into an hour-long period is us talking about absolutely everything but the presidential debate, or at least what's relevant right now.
We got a ton of stuff to talk about, man. We had stuff to talk about on Monday, and then stuff has happened since Monday.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to ditch the thumbnail we already had, so we've got tons of stuff to talk about.
Well, it was interesting because we kind of, when we first started the Nap, we were trying to do like 2 episodes a week. Now that was around the beginning of the pandemic, still, or that was before, that was pre-pandemic, really.
Right.
Like, we had a good flow going. We had a good amount of content. There were movie trailers coming out regularly, but again, pre-pandemic. So we were actually able to come over here to my little basement studio and record our trailer reactions.
Yeah.
But there were like a regular amount of trailers for us to watch too. And so we like, as the pandemic was like slowing everything down, we're like, hey, I think it was just like a couple weeks ago, we were like, yeah, we're really only gonna settle on like one a week. We're just like, and we're also getting pretty close to, I think this is episode 20 now, I think, for the N.A.P. Like we knew that we were getting kind of deep on content. We're like, all right, what should we do for season 4? Like, how do we change things up? How do we take it to the next level? And we're like, well, there's not really a whole lot happening right now. And then we run into stuff in our personal lives that stop us from doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, make it to today. And so much has happened.
Or at least enough to fill a show. And I think that was the thing we were talking about is, we stopped season, because are you okay? I don't know if you heard that. My friend, she just sneezed. We stopped season 2 at episode 20, and now we're at episode 20 of season 3. And we weren't going to take like a hiatus and come back in March or anything, but I think we talked about, maybe taking a little break and just, coming on when we need to talk about things. Like, when the boys finale comes up, we need to come back together and cover the second half of that season.
Honestly, we could do an entire hour on just that show.
I know.
So I mean, it's not a bad idea.
I'm gonna be happy to do it, because if the rest of the episodes are anything like last week's episode, oh my god, we have got some craziness in store for us. So
yeah, anyway. that's your note, Nerf herders. If you are not caught up on the boys, we're not going to talk about the episodes today like we did in the last episode, where we did kind of like the first 3 recap. But yeah, so we're gonna have an actual video. Like, I would really like us to not do that live. I would like to do like an edited video where we actually go through and discuss the episodes and all of season 2. Oh, Cat, you did not just do that. Oh man,
not even 8 minutes in, already causing shit.
Well, I opened the blinds so he couldn't mess with the blinds, and now he's just knocking stuff off of my shelves.
Well, you teased it 7 minutes ago. Let's jump into that first story, that breaking story that came out this afternoon, because I did not see that coming.
Bring that to me, please. Make sure that he didn't just destroy that. It was up on a shelf where he couldn't destroy this beautiful graphics card.
Oh gosh.
And it would appear that he did not. So I think we're in the clear.
Good cat. Bad cat. Good cat.
It's a GeForce 1060. If anybody's looking, this is the graphics card for the old PC. I decided to upgrade the GPU when everything else on the PC went to shit. So,
so the Hollywood Reporter. Now, this isn't. We got this covered. If we got this covered, reported this, I would be digitally slapping so many people across the face on social media. But the Hollywood Reporter reported an exclusive today around noon. Boris Kitt reported that Jamie Foxx, who played the classic Spidey villain Electro in the Andrew Garfield starring I can't speak, that I can't read, the Amazing Spider-Man 2, is in final talks to reprise the role for the latest Spider-Man installment starring Tom Holland, and being made by Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures. So there's been this thing recently where as soon as one entertainment website hears that someone's in final talks, they just assume that it's a done deal. Like, I get it. I get the reasoning, because final talks is not opening talks. Final talks technically means that the studio says, we want you for the role, and the actor has said, I want me for the role. And now the only thing they have to figure out is how they got to pay for it, how much they got to pay for it. That is usually what final talks means. So it's not a leap for these websites to be saying that final talks is the closest thing to confirmation you can get without confirmation. But they don't give their source. Of course, Marvel has given no comment. Sony has given no comment. So we just have that sentence to go off of.
So hear me out. I'm thinking now, we've got this is going to be kind of a wild theory, but
I would bet not. But go ahead.
Yeah, I guess for Marvel, just about anything could happen because I mean they've pulled off some crazy stuff before. But I'm gonna say that I don't believe that he's gonna come back as Shocker. I'm gonna say or Electro, yeah. I hate that they have two villains that are so close in
I know.
category nature. I get those two mixed up all the fucking time. All the time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that he does not come back as Electro. He does not play the same character. I'm not saying that I didn't like his Electro, but I didn't like his Electro. The theory that I have now, we have to remember what happened in the end of Far From Home is that Mysterio revealed Peter Parker's secret identity and Spider-Man's secret identity as Peter Parker. Now, there was a comic line way back where Daredevil actually defended Spider-Man in a case where he defended Peter Parker against all these allegations. He's like getting vigilante charges, a bunch of other crazy stuff. Daredevil actually took on, obviously he was doing it as Matt Murdock, but Daredevil actually wore the Spidey suit and like was seen, like gave witness that he was outside there while Peter Parker was very obviously not being Spider-Man. And that kind of like made things disappear a little bit. Now, I would think that this theory is incorrect, but oh my God, this animal. I would hope that this isn't correct because I really liked the actors who originally played them, but I would really, really like to see, and I know that it doesn't fit the character very well, but we've had some liberties there, but it would be really cool to see Jamie Foxx playing Kingpin.
Oh, no.
No?
No.
You don't think he could do a good Kingpin?
No. I'm sorry, but
I think he could play. I think he could play a really ruthless Kingpin.
Okay,
now
maybe
bear in mind that I did. Bear in mind that I still do want nobody but Vincent D'Onofrio to play Kingpin because he did such a perfect job of it.
And if he didn't, then sure. If the last time we saw a Kingpin on the screen was Ben Affleck's Daredevil, then I could say, sure, it can't get worse than that. But Vincent D'Onofrio brought it back and showed you how to get it done and why. I mean, like, we just don't need shock casting anymore. What about, and I don't say shock as a pun, but what do you mean by, why would you want that? What brings that to your mind?
Well, so aside from the Ben Affleck Daredevil film, we haven't actually seen Kingpin in a film yet, other than Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
We've seen him on screen, though.
We've seen him on screen, but from what we are led to believe right now is that the Marvel Netflix series are not going to be considered like the characters aren't going to cross over into the films or anything like that.
Sure.
Still open for possibility. And I really hope that they do because they like there's potential there. There's a lot of potential there. And especially since we're going to have this new wave of Avengers, I feel like it would be nice for them to bring in some of those characters. But I don't want to see I want them to. Spider-Man has an extensive history of villains out there, and I would like to see them take a different approach to putting villains in there. So far, they've done some like kind of off cuff, not necessarily off cuff as far as comics are concerned, but they did Vulture, they did Mysterio. The Elementals they ended up being holograms, but those were real villains in the comics as well. I like that they were doing not the most familiar villains that, like, when you think about Spider-Man and you think about his main villains, most people think Doc Ock, Venom, or Green Goblin. I want to see some new ones out there. We've already seen Shocker. We've already seen Lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man. Obviously, we saw Dr. Octopus in arguably one of the best, if not the best, Spider-Man film. I want to see them do some new stuff. Fucking like bring Carnage in there. Have him play Carnage. Like
We already
maybe
have a
he's
Carnage.
we do already have a Carnage. That's true. I don't know. Like I want something different. Maybe he's coming on as a voice
Listen,
credit for somebody else.
Okay, and I'm not accusing the MCU of ripping off the DC comics or anything like that. So don't anybody listening, don't turn it into that. But what has been some of the most exciting news over the past month in regards to Batman and the Flash? It's that Keaton's coming into the Flash movie. Ben Affleck's coming into the Flash movie. There was a rumor last week that Christian Bale is coming in to the Flash movie. So, what was the last Spider-Man movie that won an Oscar? Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse.
The Spider-Verse. What does Disney what is Disney tackling somehow in the next decade? Bringing over these Fox characters into their universe. They own them now. They need to figure out a way to do it. All I'm saying is if Electro is really coming back, why not? I mean, are you telling me that if you heard that there was some movie coming out where Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire was all on screen at the same time, even if it was for a brief moment, but it was for some convoluted way to get these other characters into the MCU, are you telling me you wouldn't want that movie? Because I would be down for that movie.
So my theory is with the multiverse theory not being a thing. Like if that ended up not being the option, I'd like them to bring a new villain into the fold, somebody who isn't quite as frequent, because like it'd be hard for me to picture anything. It'd be hard for me to picture the same actor playing the same character in a better way. Unfortunately, I feel like Jamie Foxx's performance in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was very much Sony getting their grubby hands on stuff that was going on in there. I feel like those two Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies were actually mostly Sony just being like, hey, we're gonna make money. We're gonna put our products in fucking everything and fuck with the script.
I mean, of course, that's definitely Sony's MO. I would defend those films. Not to say that they are the best Spider-Man films, but certainly not. They are watchable, and there are very, very, very good segments in those films. The Amazing Spider-Man 2, at times, before the Tom Holland movies came out, there were parts of that movie that, in my mind, are the best representation of Spider-Man we had ever seen on the big screen up until that point.
There was a moment when Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, I'm pretty sure it was Amazing Spider-Man 2. Yeah, it was. Like saves a kid from some bullies, and they'd like trash his science fair thing. Yeah, and he fixed it with his web and like just kind of like walked
him to school. Yeah,
like that was classic Spider-Man. That was a great scene. So
there was some good CGI at parts. The whole thing of Electro playing Itsy Bitsy Spider on electric towers was dumb as shit for sure. But Electro as a whole wasn't terrible in this film. But there were some definitely terrible things in there. But
it was it was all the teasing for the Sinister Six that they did in the second one that really ruined it for me. Like they were really trying to set something.
They wanted that universe. So remember there was even like a talks of a spinoff Aunt May movie. I mean,
yeah,
like someone was drunk at the wheel, and it was ridiculous. But
yeah,
I really I was getting overwhelmed by the number of recasts for Spider-Man in a single decade, but I've really come around to really appreciate Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and I don't see the purpose of bringing someone like Jamie Foxx on the screen to play anybody else but Electro. I mean, Electro and even the idea of some type of crossover or multiverse thing would put people's asses in seats. Otherwise, why would you want to touch the film that most people despise? I mean, most people will willfully say that is the shittiest Spider-Man movie ever, Amazing Spider-Man 2. I disagree. I think Amazing Spider-Man 1 Well, I mean,
Spider-Man 3.
people have grown to forgive that movie and just lump that in with the, the Sam Raimi nostalgia because it was followed up by those Mark Webb movies. But I mean, most people despise Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I have no idea why the MCU would even touch it
I can still watch
or
them.
take a person from it. I just don't understand it.
I can still watch those first two and enjoy them because, like I said, like he does have some, like they do have some solid Spider-Man. Even Spider-Man 3 has some solid Spider-Man moments, but just not
Yeah, I
nearly as
agree. I
many
think
to
it
save
gets
that
more
one.
shit than it deserves, but it definitely gets shit. And the MCU is trying to, now more than ever, phase 3 is going to be their hardest phase because they've come off such a high. And I
Well,
just, I don't understand. I can't imagine any other scenario than this is some type of multiverse.
so you've got, I mean, there's a lot to support that theory, and I'm on board. Like I'm completely on board for it. I have a blister like right in the center of my hand from something I
Well,
was
that's
working on. But
annoying.
um, the stuff with the WandaVision series looks like it's going to be dealing with some real funky mind stuff.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange into the multiverse. Is it old or something in the
Multiverse of Madness. Yeah.
multiverse of madness?
I mean,
Brain
multiverse is
scrambled.
in the title, man. So
Yeah, so I mean, we're going to be dealing with some funky stuff, and honestly, I think we got release dates for those. Obviously, WandaVision's coming out before this next Spider-Man film is.
mhm.
It sounds like the next Doctor Strange will also be doing that. Several other different Marvel properties where they're going to be answering some of these questions, and so yeah, if they do end up leading into a Spider-Verse, on board, sold, gimme. Like I'm completely on board for it. And we've already seen them carry over a character from a different part of the Spider-Man universe. We saw J. Jonah Jameson
Yeah.
back at the end of Far From Home.
Right.
We saw him in like
With
the
his little
most
Alex
Info Wars
Jones-esque.
fucking parody I've ever seen. Like it was great. Uh, it was absolutely perfect. Which, if you've played the Spider-Man game, is kind of a role that he fills, that
Right.
JJ fills
Right.
in that, because he has a radio show that he does that, or radio / podcast that Peter Parker chimes in on. You just get absolutely hilarious dialogue.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, like it's it's an interesting thing. Also, to note that there's a remastered version of the Spider-Man game that recently came out. They're remastering it for the PS5 because it was a PS4 title, and the Peter Parker in that one very much looks like an aged Tom Holland. And so Sony's kind of leaning into him really hard. And after the success of Into the Spider-Verse with Miles Morales being the main character, yeah, we saw a lot. The thing that we've got here is that, like, first of all, these articles are doing for Marvel exactly what they want them to do. They are building up a
Oh, for
lot of
sure.
hype. They're
For
getting
sure.
people talking about a lot of different stuff. There's being theories thrown out left and right. The one thing that this Hollywood Reporter article is not saying is what their source is, where this information came from. Like it's not,
Which isn't uncommon.
no,
It's
it's
not
not
uncommon.
uncommon, but
Especially when you're talking about something like this. If it was something like confirmed, then you'd be like, what's your source? But when it's something,
yeah.
in this stage, they can't out the person that told them, because then they won't have anybody on the inside
Oh
anymore.
yeah, journalists will protect their sources above all.
Yeah.
But this is doing exactly what they wanted it to. If it ends up being a multiverse scenario, I'm sold. Because I feel like that's probably the best route for Marvel to go from here on out, because we're going to be dealing with some more cosmic enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Gonna kind of need to have some more cosmic films or cosmic enemy filled films, to where maybe this isn't even like a big role for Jamie Foxx. Maybe he's showing up for a little bit while they're bouncing around
Oh
the
yeah.
multiverse.
Nobody's saying he's
It's
the
like,
main villain of the third one.
yeah, we
He
have
could just
absolutely
be a
no idea what to assume at this point.
Not to mention, you mentioned the Spider-Man game. Spider-Man, the next Spider-Man game is Miles Morales. He's
Yeah.
not a DLC. He's the next game. Sony has realized how great of a character that is and of property that is, and they are full-fledged. I mean, people embraced that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie for everything that it represented. And here's the thing. I have been behind that movie from day one. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it.
Really good. It's
But
really
for
good.
every one of us that say it was a great film, there are 10, 15, 20 people that didn't watch it because it's an animated film and they're adults and they don't go see animated films. And that's just the truth. And so I could not I would not be surprised if Sony is like, how can we get Miles Morales into a live action Spider-Man film? Well, maybe we do some type of weird multiverse thing, and even if it's a short thing, it's there. You know, we're putting him there, and we already know that they're trying to find a way to put Venom into the Spider-Man films. They've got all these characters. Maybe some weird multiverse thing is really the only way they're going to do it. But if they do it right, Disney can use that to bring in X-Men and Fantastic Four and all this other shit. So I'm down for it, man. I'm down for it. But
I think it's
yeah,
I think it's the way to go.
I did not see it coming. I'll tell you that. I did not see it coming.
I feel like that if that is the direction that they're going, while this is still good for Marvel, I mean, they really like keeping a tight cap on things, so they're probably a little upset that this got out when it did, if it ends up being true. But yeah, we'll have to see. I think
Remember when they tried to keep Spider-Man's appearance in Civil War under wraps?
yeah, that
Like
didn't
they
go too
tried
well.
hard for a while, and they made you wait for it, even when it was pretty much confirmed. They made you wait, like the last second of that second trailer he was in there.
Yep.
If they did some type of shit with that, with Andrew Garfield and or Tobey Maguire, where they waited till the last second to tell you about that, or Spider-Man 3 opens like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse did, in that you're not watching Miles Morales, you're watching this other Spider-Man, takes off the mask and it's Tobey Maguire, and you're like, holy shit. I mean, I would jump up and clap if that's how Spider-Man 3 started. I would be overjoyed. So come on, man. Make it happen, Sony, Marvel, Disney, whatever.
I mean, they've got all the building blocks as a possibility, and we've still got a bunch of different Marvel content for them to set something like that up as something, like, instead of having it be like a subset of the films where it's like, this is just out of nowhere. I can't believe that this is a thing. It's like they didn't do any hinting that this was possible at all. It's like, no, Marvel plays the long game now. Like, and they're gonna give little hints towards that stuff for a long time.
Yeah, but now Marvel is faced with. I mean, Marvel's basically starting over. Phase 3 is starting over. They've especially after coronavirus. I mean, when's the last time you saw a Marvel movie in theaters? It feels like ages ago. And
that brings us into
the Infinity Saga. Well, yeah, go ahead.
That brings it. Well, go ahead. Yeah, I'll let you finish your point, but that kind of brings us into another piece of the what we were going to talk about briefly. But that was pretty much everything on the Marvel schedule just getting pushed out a year.
Oh, for sure.
So we got Black Widow coming out in May of 2021 now, a finished movie. Probably also related to the story that we have around Mulan. It all kind of comes full circle. So Disney put Mulan up on Disney Plus, and might not have done too well, as it turns out.
Right.
They weren't terribly sure about what to do with Black Widow, and I think that as a result of all the information that they got, the reactions that they got, they were like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. Push it out. We're not going to do it. They're going to wait. They're going to push everything out. And that's not great news, but it's not the worst thing in the world, because now we're going to get polished products. They're going to have, I was like, all right, you guys have more time to do this random stuff that you want to do. If we need to do a random reshoot, or if you want to make like the post-credit scene super weird, why not just throw it on in there? Like, let's do it.
Right.
Or it could just be simple as, all right, you guys have to put together, the movie is done, you guys can't touch it. You have to put together a absolutely dynamite marketing campaign to get people hyped up for this movie again a year later after it was supposed to come out. But yeah, that's so that was a blow, but an expected blow. That Marvel would push everything out. WandaVision, so far as they have made a promise that it will be, and I think we talked about this during the trailer as well, the trailer reaction that we did in the last episode. But they have allegedly promised that WandaVision will still come out in 2020. And I think there was something about December in there.
And here's the thing: why wouldn't they? Because we've said before,
it was intended for Disney
coronavirus.
Plus.
Yeah,
Like,
it was already going there. Apparently, it's done, and we've said all year that Disney Plus is struggling for new content. I mean, they spent all that money on Hamilton. Who's talking about Hamilton a week after Hamilton dropped on Disney Plus? Nobody. This is something they've promised us Marvel from this time last year, and we're getting a second season of The Mandalorian before our first Marvel show. You know. And they promised us, 4 Marvel shows before the one we're about to talk about. So, you know,
it's been a weird.
I know, and I'm not
taken
blaming
all of
them,
Disney
obviously.
Content.
Yeah, but it's time to release it.
Fuck up.
Yeah, so if they don't release it this year, I don't understand why, because it was definitely meant for this. But, yeah, so they've said they're gonna keep that date, but then they're like, why don't we just announce another one? Why don't we just announce another show that's coming? We're delayed everything else, but hey, we're gonna throw another one on that pile.
Yeah,
and that is Nick Fury show of some kind.
But they didn't give us a timeline on this one, so it's like, yeah, when it gets thrown into the pile, we don't really know.
And we have no details on it, but if you were to give your theory on what this show would be, with all of the knowledge that you currently know about about phase 3, and the rumors you may or may not have heard about where the MCU is going, what would your theory be on what this show would be?
The forming of or operations of S.W.O.R.D. So that was kind of a big thing at the end of Captain Marvel when it's revealed that it was actually Talos. Yeah, I think was his name.
Right, he was Talos. Playing. No, it wasn't the end of Captain Marvel. It was the end of Spider-Man.
Or
Far From Home.
End of Far From Home.
Talos and
the character from the
Captain Marvel.
Yeah, the changeling character from the Scree. From Captain Marvel was revealed to have been in Nick Fury and Agent Hill's place for the entire time. And
where's Agent Hill? Is she dead?
She's probably there at the S.W.O.R.D. facility with him.
In space? Because he was in space.
Yeah, he was absolutely in space.
Well, yeah, she is his right hand. So if she's alive, she's probably there.
Yeah, well, she was dusted along with everybody else. Like, she and Nick Fury were both dusted at the same time. So I would imagine that when they were phased back in, they were phased back in the same place as well.
Right. And she stole Nick Fury's shoes.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope so. But the ship that he walked out of had a S.W.O.R.D. emblem on the floor.
Oh, did it? I didn't catch that.
Yeah. So that's what looked like a S.W.O.R.D. emblem on the floor. So
when he walked out of the vacation hologram and was yelling, "Who's got my shoes?" He walked over a S.W.O.R.D. thing.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try and pull up a screenshot of that. Fury S.W.O.R.D. screenshot, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's kind of what I would feel like it's going to end up being, because we are, like I said earlier, we're going to see a lot more cosmic enemies. Nick Fury has kind of always been like, hey, like even back during Avengers, when he was trying to formulate these things, ever since Captain Marvel, is like, okay, America, the world, mankind is not prepared to fight the wars that could be brought our way. And yeah, absolutely. Why would he not want to be on the absolute cutting edge of defense technology, on espionage technology, whatever he has to be? And S.W.O.R.D. is the big part of that.
I mean, at this point in the MCU, the world has been invaded 2 or 3 times. Once in Avengers, once in Infinity War. Captain Marvel, you could technically be a third time. So that's 3 alien invasions at this point. So sure, of course they're going to start being like, "Hey, we need this." And we know that Sword is in the WandaVision show. So yeah, so that's not a leap. I don't think that's a leap.
No. See, okay, so I'm looking at the end scene now, and it's looking like it's not. It's
He
looking like
walks
I'm
out
not
on that
seeing.
Star Wars-esque kind of
Yeah, very
platform.
very obvious. Like it's a scroll vessel of some kind, or maybe he was involved in it to some point. I'm not seeing the emblem. I saw a video where they showcased something like that. Maybe it was from a deleted scene or something like that, though. But yeah, he's in space, which was very much the environment for a lot of Sword activity. Now, Sword is obviously it's an acronym, so it's SWORD. I cannot remember what specifically it stands for. I have to look that up.
I can't remember what SHIELD stood for either, but it was a long ass name.
Strategic Homeland Intervention and Enforcement. Intervention,
Division?
Enforcement, and Logistics Division.
Okay, wow. All right. So what's Sword?
Sword.
Nerd.
Sentient World Observation and Response Department.
Yeah, okay. So somebody just said, "Hey, make up some words to spell sword," and they did.
Yeah, its purpose
Whereas
is
shield was accidentally shield.
Its purpose is to deal with extraterrestrial threats to world security and is the space-based counterpart of SHIELD, which deals with local threats to the world. It was first introduced in Astonishing X-Men Volume 3, Number 6, and that was in 2004.
Okay.
Which, and yeah, and like the first scene that shows up on Wikipedia is just this humongous spaceship out in there, and yeah, it's. So that was the speculation that everybody had back when this first occurred. At the end of Far From Home, is that all right? Nick Fury is managing Sword, and he's put that together. And a former Nerf herder was making a bunch of speculations around when Captain Marvel came out, when the Skrull showed up, about the Secret Wars being a big thing. Might also be attributed to that because the Skrulls are a changeling race.
I completely believe that that Nick Fury's show will be the building blocks for Secret Invasion. I believe, and I know other people that believe that is what the next big. If the Infinity Saga was the first big arc, the Phase 1 and Phase 2 arc, I believe Phase 3 and Phase 4 is a version of Secret Invasion, and I think that we obviously have some good Skrulls that are working with Nick Fury, but just as we know that not all humans are good, I'm sure not all Skrulls are good, and
absolutely not.
So I think that is the direction we're going. Sword will be introduced in WandaVision as the new Shield replacement, but I believe Nick Fury's show will be the building blocks of Secret Invasion.
I think Shield will still be in operation, but just
isn't it down?
Just as an Earth-based counterpart.
I thought it was dead. I thought it was dead after.
I mean,
after
the official
everything.
capacity of it was dead, but Shield was more Nick Fury's baby. I feel like he would keep it up and going in the shadows as he liked to operate.
Okay.
So
do you think we'll see Coulson? Do you think we'll ever see Coulson on big screen again?
Dude, man, I'd really like to. Because
I stopped watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. years ago. It just got too much. Too much, man.
Yeah, it got a little funky. I'm not caught up on that show either. I saw the first season and that was it. Which I'm told is a disservice because apparently it gets very good, but
well, there was a couple seasons
so
in the first half that was good. The middle just got and then I haven't seen like the last 3. But I love the dude that plays Agent Coulson. I loved him in the movies. I liked him a lot in the show. And every time we get a movie, I'm just like, please, Agent Coulson cameo. Because we know that show is canon. It's not like the Netflix. That show is canon.
I think what will really suck is that if he does come back now, it'll be post Iron Man. And he and Iron Man had a
True.
connection there, and that would really
True, and he wasn't even at the
blow.
funeral. I would have liked to see him at the funeral
That,
even.
yeah, but obviously, like I said, I'm not caught up with the show, so I don't know like how under wraps they're trying to keep him, or they're trying to like keep him as a dead man so he can operate in a
Yeah,
different
who knows?
capacity. I don't know, but
Well, Shield went
um,
into space. That's all I know. They went into
yeah,
space and they did time travel. They did a bunch of crazy shit on that show. I would be
they
down
sure
for a
did.
sword show with Fury and him like being like, we're not going to have the same problems
I mean, it'd
as
be great to see like
Shield.
a straight up spy show, a spy thriller show with Nick Fury. Um, I mean, because if you keep that in the same vein as the operations during Winter Soldier, like,
True.
sold.
But see, this is why I really think it's going to be Secret Invasion, because the downfall of Shield was that everybody was double agents for whatchamacallit, not the Nazis. What am I trying to say?
Wasn't even necessarily like double agents. Like they were like Hydra basically
They were
was
Hydra.
Shield.
It had been
Like
invaded by
they just
Hydra. So
yeah, they had been taken over, and just Hydra's like sub components were just
right.
only
So
being
if there
given
are
to like high level
scrolls in
people.
Shield,
So
if there are scrolls in Sword, I could imagine a very similar happening of that. There are good scrolls and there are bad scrolls, and they're once again under his watch. And so I feel like he's gonna have to go through some similar shit, but he's not gonna be as naive as the last time, and maybe he'll be on top of it a little more. But yeah, we'll see.
no, there'll be there's a lot that I want to see that unfortunately we're gonna have to wait a long time to see because obviously the pandemic is gonna be slowing down any production that would happen on this
Right,
show.
right.
Uh, and I'm saying that with the fact that they probably haven't even finished casting or haven't even finished writing this show yet.
Oh, I doubt they've even. I doubt they. Yeah, I don't think they've
I
even
think they're
written
in
it yet.
talks. They're in talks at this
They
point.
probably just had a really cool pitch, and they were like, "Sam, you in?" And Sam's like, "The hell, yes, I am." And then that was
But I
it.
wonder like what they're gonna do with future productions like that because obviously like there's America just ain't like if they film somewhere other than America, maybe things will be a little bit better, which
Well,
isn't
they're back to
crazy because
filming
they're in
now
space.
because whatchamacallits. We've seen set
Yeah,
photos from Falcon and Winter Soldier that they're back to filming.
yeah, but with the restrictions in place, things are going to take a lot longer.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows when we actually get sites on this show? But I don't know.
Speaking of the
I still
MCU,
want WandaVision. I still want WandaVision and
oh hell yeah,
Doctor Strange. Like I want to like I've already got questions, and WandaVision is
WandaVision.
now going to be our first introduction back into the
To phase
Marvel
three.
Cinematic Universe, if you want to call it
Yeah,
that. And like start answering some questions as to what went on, and it sounds like it's going to be based off of that first trailer. It's going to be batshit crazy.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
I'm so stoked.
But for everybody that needed a little piece of MCU, and couldn't wait till WandaVision, Groot came out and dropped a single, dropped an EDM single on the Kelly Clarkson show. So not
Bad.
really. Groot didn't do this, but Vin Diesel did. He dropped a single called "Feel Like I Do," which is an EDM track written and produced by Kygo collaborator P.D. Martin. So he didn't even write it; he just sings it. So some dude wrote and produced a song and was like, you know what? You know who I think would be excellent to sing this song? Vin effing Diesel. And
Well,
did you hear? Have you heard
oh,
the song?
oh yeah, yeah. I skipped through it. I didn't listen to the whole thing because I couldn't because
Mm-hmm.
it was just so bad. But
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, it's not my style
I
of
don't think
music
it.
in the slightest.
People started bashing this song. They were like, "This is the
Okay.
most horrible song I have ever heard." And to them, I would say, "Have you heard music in this year? Because this is an EDM track. This is as basic vanilla EDM as you can get. You look at any other EDM song dropped in the last 5 years, they all sound like this." So I feel like if anybody else had dropped it than him, people be like, oh yeah, it's the next one. Josh Berkey says it's terrible. It is terrible, and we've heard him sing before. He likes to sing.
Yeah,
He'll sing at his parties. He's done other covers, but I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it's good at all, but I don't listen to EDM music, and I feel like it sounds exactly like everything else that's dropped.
I feel like it's really generous to call it EDM because it is really just generic pop. Like
You think so?
Oh man, it was so bad, man. It was so bad. I couldn't get into it. Like when I first heard that he was making a song, I was really, dude, fucking Saruman. Christopher Lee has a metal Christmas album, or he has metal albums, and they're not bad. Like they're not bad. Like they're straight up metal. And I was like, if anybody's gonna have a great voice for metal, it's gonna be fucking Groot. And
yeah,
I'll tell you, I would listen to a metal song where it's just him screaming "I am Groot" over and over again. That's not what we got, and I was really sad.
Well, to be fair, what was more cringe than the actual song was the digital reactions in the Kelly Clarkson audience. I don't know if you saw it, but they debuted this song on Kelly Clarkson.
Doing that, it's so weird.
They've got these vertical TVs, and clearly everybody is on some Zoom equivalent, and they're all out of sync. So they're either pre-recorded dancing, like someone was like, here's a tempo, dance to it, or they're or whatever, but they're all out of sync, and you can tell that they're just like, smile like a crazy person on crack and dance in front of the camera, and hopefully you'll be on TV. And I mean, that was just I saw some legit psychos in that audience, and I seriously doubt they were dancing to the song. I think they were just dancing pre-recorded, like, please get me on the air, and they looked creepy as hell.
It's so weird. Like I watched a thing when Ellen came back for her show, and she had the same thing. She had TVs in there. Like there was a clip, it was going viral because she came back and addressed like all the crap that's been going on in her like production.
Addressed,
the generous term for that. And yeah, she's like, oh, welcome back with this new audience or something like that. And they pan to all these TVs of people with their dumbass faces this fucking framed in on their phone cameras that they're watching it on.
Yeah.
And it's like, really? Are you like, are they just holding it up to where like this is literally like all that you could see? If it was a TV screen, this is all that you could see, and it was fucking weird.
At least Kelly Clarkson's audience was apparently trained on how to use a webcam, because none of theirs was like that. But at the same time, nobody watches the shows to watch the audience, and they're certainly not watching the shows to watch the digital TV screen audience, which was even weirder that the screens were social distanced. Like their screens,
like pack them in there.
We don't want to see it. If you're gonna do it, commit to it. Otherwise, don't do it.
I mean, that probably came down to a budget. They're just like, we're not gonna buy this many fucking TVs to just pack in an audience.
Don't buy one if you're not gonna buy 200. Maybe we see the shit you give away on your show. I know you can rent a bunch of shitty TVs. Anyway, that was all the story we had for that one. One more Disney Plus story or Disney related story was Mulan. We mentioned this. We talked about this a week or two ago when it was reported. Now, to be fair, Disney didn't report this, and they never confirmed it, but they certainly didn't deny it. It was reported that 30-something% of all Disney subscribers paid $30 to see Mulan. And people were like, holy shit, that is a huge amount. Like Disney, because they're a streaming service, has no obligation to tell you what they made on China. However, it seems like more legit numbers have come out, and it's closer to they said something like 260 million in that first week or 2 weeks of it coming out, and it's currently at 68 million total. So a lot less for a $200 million budgeted movie, and that's just the production. That's not all the That's not all, the other stuff they did for that. It bombed in China. It bombed
Yeah.
in China so hard. And it's not doing, so yeah, it's just because it did release in theaters in other places in the world. It didn't in America, but it did in China and other places. And they're saying that this is currently one of the Disney's worst performing remakes of all time.
Yeah,
It's doing worse than Beauty and the Beast. It's doing worse than the Maleficent films. It's doing worse than Dumbo. So, man, how do you mess that up?
dude, it's just, it goes down like, man, this article's bashing it pretty bad, but yeah, it goes down to what I've been saying is like, you guys are remaking movies that still hold up now, especially to their target audience. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if that's what you're doing it for, like if you're gonna remake a film, uh, this would have been my ideal scenario if they had remade Mulan and made it grittier, made it kind of like darker, a little bit more fucked up. Be like, all right, this is how old our audience is now. We're
Which
gonna do
China
some real
already
world
did, by
stuff.
the way. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Like if they had done the same thing with Lion King or something like that, or like you're remaking movies that the current my generation, yours and I's generation grew up with. Like we saw the originals for these when we were little kids. Um, like they're animated. These aren't aging out at the same rate that a live action film would. So you're taking a big risk by remaking them already, because these are still cherished in our hearts, because again, we grew up with them and they're animated. It's not something that we're going to shy away from watching again. So a lot of people in our generation have kids of their own, and before these remakes had been coming out, they were showing the originals to their kids, and their kids were loving them. They're like, yeah, we don't need a remake. This still works. They're timeless. Like a lot of them are period. Almost all of them, actually, I think, are period films. It's like you could argue that the Lion King is whenever the hell time frame they want, because in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, you're taking a chance by remaking these films. And I really hope that this hit to Disney's wallet is enough for them to be like, you know what, we ain't doing this again.
It's not. It's first of all,
it's not.
Before we
but
talk
yeah,
about
I would
it's
really
not.
like it to be.
Is this all that Disney is? Like Disney's got their Star Wars films, their Marvel films, their remake films, and then shitty attempts at making something like A Wrinkle in Time just gets thrown in there. Oh, and then they have their animated films.
Really trying to prop up Toy Story by continuing to make Toy Story movies.
They've got their animated Pixar films and everything.
Honestly,
is there no room for
their most successful property, though?
It is, but like the only film that doesn't fit into those departments was A Wrinkle in Time, and it did terribly. But it seemed like it got like nobody cared about that film because all of the people are working in the remakes, and then. You would think that they would learn from this lesson. You would think they would come out and be like, look, not only did we film in a terrible place, but we realize we're just not connecting with our audience with these live action remakes. We're going to make things better and go in a different direction. They didn't say that.
How about a female reboot of Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah.
Make you feel better.
How about what they announced 2 days ago? We're making Lion King 2. Who stood up and clapped for Lion King 1?
This one, though, they're not going to have it follow the actual Lion King 2 from the animated one. This one's going to be a Mufasa origin story.
It's going to be a Mufasa origin story directed by the director of Moonlight. God, man, why?
I mean, so this is where I don't think that we need it. But at least now we're jumping into territory that they haven't covered already. So we're seeing something new here. Like, I got to give them that. It's like, you know what? Yeah, we're jumping into Lion King again, but we're telling a completely original story this time. Like, maybe. I don't know. It could be a ripoff of another story. Who fucking knows?
But then even if that's the case, what is the point? Okay? Say 10 years from now, 5 years from now, after this movie comes out, let's say it's even good. Let's say it's a good Mufasa origin story, and somebody watches that first, and then they're told, "Hey, guess what? There's a Lion King 1 that's like a sequel to this because this is technically a prequel."
Show
They
them
go
the
back
fucking
and watch
cartoon.
Lion King 1, and they're like, "What the hell is this shit?" Like, he dies with no emotion. Mufasa dies. It's terrible. It's not a good film.
Show
So,
them the cartoon. Show them the
I,
cartoon. Just pretend
I
that the
guess.
live action one doesn't exist. Just be like,
So
show them the
you
cartoon.
you fix the shitty live action remake by making a prequel to it. That makes no sense to me.
I don't think that's what the intention is. They don't give a shit about fixing the first one. They give a shit about bringing more people in to watch their movies. And like, yeah, this is
Come on,
like
Disney.
I
We
mean,
get
yeah,
it.
they
You got all the
absolutely need
money
to
in the
step up their
world,
game.
but
If you want to remake a set of movies, do the Star Wars do a Star Wars trilogy that has absolutely nothing to do with the Skywalker family. Absolutely nothing to do with any of the characters that we've seen in the cinematics already.
That's really hard for them.
No, I know, but
that's so hard for them.
If you really want to jump into something like that, well, it was leaked a little while ago, I guess, that the writer of Rogue One said that he had some Star Wars news coming sometime this week or next week. So we could see something in the Star Wars front here coming soon, but
we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. Disney needs to knock off with the remakes. Hollywood in general needs to knock off with the remakes because it's just not.
It's safe. It's safe for Disney.
It's safe.
I mean, there's tons of naysayers, but it's just money. It's even if it's not good, you know, that it's funneling the stuff that is good. Like they'll gladly put out a Tron ride because it's just more money. It's just more money. Even if they didn't think that the last Tron was good, it's a brand. It's a brand that they can continue to get them revenue, and that's all they really care about is just money.
I would actually argue that the remake world is not safe for them anymore because, as we're seeing now with Mulan, like I wonder if people's faith in Disney remakes has now been shot with the amount of live action ones that they've done and had them be mediocre. They're finally like,
well, let's be fair. Mulan is not just bombing because it's a remake.
No.
It's bombing because they catered too much to China. And then one, China didn't like it. And then two, they catered so much that they filmed in a horrible part of China and the rest of the world didn't care for that. So, I mean, the least thing you could have done was made a movie that China appreciated so that you could get money from China. But then China doesn't even like this movie. They spent so much energy, you know, kissing the feet of China, but then they forgot to make a good movie that China would even like. So, I mean, you know, and this isn't the first time they've done it, but this is clearly the worst time they've done it. So, good job.
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to including other countries, but if you're hoping that this country is going to give you a lot of money, at least make a film that they'll like. You know, it's just good business.
I've got to hope that I have to hope that Disney steps up their game in a big way, because we kind of don't have a choice. Like we sort of need, like they have all the franchises. Like
Sure.
we need a non-Marvel film to go well out of this Disney world because they've got all of the Marvel
characters need to give us
except
a
for the
non-Marvel
Sony and Universal owned stuff.
Yeah, they need to give us something. They need to give us something to watch because they just everything they put out, they want it to be a new edgy universe. They tried to make a universe out of Maleficent. They tried to make a universe out of Alice in the Looking Glass. They tried to make a universe out of the Nutcracker, and that bombed. That's the only one that's bombed worse than Mulan is the Nutcracker and the Four Realms or whatever. But it's still currently made more in total than Mulan has, which is crazy. So I don't know, man.
What I really want to see is them diving into more original ideas, stuff that we haven't seen before. Let it be experimental. Let it be a risk. You have the fucking money to do it. Mandalorian is gonna tide me over until WandaVision comes out because they're releasing that weekly again. We're not gonna get to binge it right away as soon as it comes out. So that's gonna kill a little bit of time. Then they're going to give us WandaVision. Hopefully, WandaVision carries us over for a reasonable amount of time. Probably not until May, because if they want to keep, if we assume that they're going to keep it in 2020, and we see WandaVision in December, which I think is what was speculated on before. I mean, even an episode a week. Like, I hope that WandaVision isn't that long. I really hope that it's not that long.
No, and
I'm
I could
hoping
see
for
us
8
getting
episodes, roughly.
I could see us getting Falcon and the Winter Soldier in late first quarter 2021.
Maybe. Yeah.
I could see that being the tie over until May when we get
it would depend on how much production they still have left to do, because if they still got people on set, they're not even in post-production yet.
True.
Not even in full-on post-production yet. So, I mean, who knows? Depending.
True.
Then again, I mean, with Falcon and Winter Soldier, you're probably not dealing with nearly as much CGI, depending on the villains that they end up having to go up against.
Well, we know the one villain is what's his face from
Zemo,
Civil War,
so,
and he's not super powered. He's got a freaking purple
again,
purple snow mask on or whatever in the one picture they showed us.
Yeah, that's part of his classic costume, really, is
right, which is
skin
right.
tight
But
purple costume.
If you're a viewer and you don't want them to keep doing this, just stop going to see the movies. I haven't seen Lion King. I haven't seen Maleficent 2. I'm not going to go see Cruella de Vil or whatever crap that's going to be. I don't want to see the untold story, the victim of Cruella de Vil. She's actually misunderstood. I don't care. And I'm not saying that me not going and see Lion King is at all hurting Disney's pockets. But if enough people just said, I'm not going to go, maybe it would.
You also don't get to do that to one of your original villains. Like, her name is Cruella de Vil, and you're going to say that she's just misunderstood?
Well, they did with Maleficent. They did with Maleficent.
But fuck. Like,
they somehow found a way to do that.
Like, it's just, are you guys just throwing away your entire history at this point? Like, what are you doing?
Show me how you're gonna make Cruella de Vil, the one that just wants to kill dogs. Show me how you're gonna make her sympathetic. I want to see. I'm not gonna see it, but just
bold
tell
move
me.
In today's environment, man. That's a bold move.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Anyway, we got other stuff. This was a short story. M.Night Shyamalan's got another movie coming out. It's called Old, and it's based off a graphic novel called Hourglass, I believe. I have no idea what it's about. I didn't really read up on the comic because I don't know how faithful it's going to be, but that's cool that he's out there doing some more stuff.
I mean, depending on what part of his timeline you've seen up to, but
well, I think his show did well. He did a show called Servant or something like that. Wasn't that his show? He did some show, I think, for Apple recently. M. Night Shyamalan.
Well, Split was good.
Yeah, Split was good. I liked Glass. He executive produced, which doesn't, I mean, it could mean he did a lot. It could mean he did a little. Servant, which was a psychological horror movie on Apple that I have not seen yet, but I heard it was really good. He just does this thing where he does something good, then he does something bad. Then before he does another thing, he'll do something like Devil, which is, him directing somebody else's works, or he wrote Devil and somebody else directed it. And everybody's like, oh my gosh, it's so good. And then he'll come out with
some producer for Devil.
Okay. Didn't he write it as well, though? I thought he wrote it as well.
I mean, IMDb splits everything up, so it's he's.
And he comes out with Split, and everybody's like, he's back. And then he has Glass, which was half liked, half hated. He's just, he's not controversial. He just has a track record like everybody does. Some are good, some are bad. But I still really like him, and I'm excited that he's doing something else.
I mean, he's got an established history of really good films. He's got some fucking bad ones in there too. I mean, I mean, Signs is incredible.
So incredible.
The Village is a really good film, but was marketed bad. I think that was probably
Marketed
the biggest.
terribly.
Yeah, I think that was probably the biggest mistake there. It's just the way that they advertised for it. Unbreakable,
Well, and it
great.
fell apart in the third act, but yeah.
Split, really good.
Split was great. Glass, in my opinion, was great.
Like
Devil was good.
I
I did
haven't
not
seen
like
Servant.
his show that he did,
Wayward
something
Pines.
Wayward Pines. And by the way, I went back and I read all 3 of those books. Man, talk about a interesting premise that just crashed and burned. I mean, the first book was the first. I mean, I'll give him this. He that show. I did watch that show from start to finish. He did adapt the first book really well. First book was one of those books that it wasn't a good book, but it was setting up for a good series. And then the second book in the Wayward Pine series was legit. I mean, it was intense. There was some really good stuff. And then the third book just shit the bed, and it was pathetic, and it was really, really bad. And yeah, so it was an interesting premise that he took on for that. But I remember he was in Chicago at C2E2 when he screened that first season or that first episode, and I was there, and I'm like, look, M.Night Shyamalan's like 10 feet away from me, and it's pretty cool. But I'm excited for his new show. I'll watch anything he puts out, but it's certainly, I'll brace myself just in case it's not good.
Is it a is it going to be was this a show or is this a series or is this a film?
This is a movie. It's a movie.
Okay. All right. I heard you say you were going to watch his new show. I was like, oh shit, what?
Oh no, I am going to watch his show that came out last year, Servant, or it came out earlier this year. I just haven't seen it yet. That's on Apple. Whatever Apple's thing is.
Good stuff. Apple TV.
Yeah. But I got one more story before we go to lightning rounds. I don't know if you have any lightning rounds, but
I have like one thing because I kind of mentioned everything else as we were going along. But
okay, I'm telling you one thing right now. If anyone is doing well in October of 2020, if any man is doing well, it's Sacha Baron Cohen. This dude is on fire. He is coming out with a film either today or next week on Netflix called The Trial of the Chicago 7, which is based on a true story, and it looks fantastic. It's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it. It's got the dude oh my gosh, I got to look it up now. I'm blanking on the name. Chicago 7 Netflix cast. Got a crazy good cast. It's got Sacha Baron Cohen. It's got Eddie Redmayne. It's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's got the dude that played the villain in Aquaman, and he was in Watchmen. It's got Michael Keaton in it. It's got a crazy good cast, and that comes out. It comes out I think next week on Netflix, and it's going to be amazing. And then on top of that, he filmed a Borat sequel that nobody knew about. And Netflix offered him like 80 million for it. And Amazon came in and we're going to offer you like 120 million for it. And so that's coming out at the end of the month. So October's a good month for this man.
As it turns out, he also crashed a I think it was a Borat sequel trailer reveals Sacha Baron Cohen crashed CPAC and disrupted Pence's speech dressed as Trump.
And I heard about that when it happened and completely forgot about it.
Sequel. So
yeah, I completely forgot. I remember hearing about it and then I forgot it. And it's at the end of this trailer. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot. So I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this.
I mean, ever since Sacha did that, he did some series where he was working directly with politicians and he revealed that a bunch of politicians were like interested in like having sex with young girls. Like,
Who is America? Yeah, and I don't think that was the whole show, but that was
it
definitely
wasn't the
one of
whole
the
show, but it
episodes.
was
Yeah.
part of it. And
Hmm.
first of all, his disguise work is just incredible. Like, just
Is it, or are people just dumb as fuck? Because
well,
sometimes I'm
let's
like,
say
what?
I mean, when was the last time in a film, or like, think of, like, when you think of Sacha Baron Cohen, like, what was obviously, what's the first thing that you think of?
Borat.
Exactly. He doesn't look like that all the time.
That's true.
He
That's
doesn't
true.
look like that all the time.
He
Uh,
doesn't.
like, I think Ali G is the rapper that he impersonate is
That's
his
right.
rapper
That's right.
character.
He had Ali G
Um,
before he had Borat. Yeah.
yeah, like, until he gave, like, there was a video of him giving a speech that I saw a clip of very recently, and I think it was the first time I've ever seen him with his real face. Like, or his
Yeah.
real accent, which is not American. Like, it's like, it was
Mhm.
weird. Like, it was really
Yeah.
weird. So yeah, I think he's just got, like, he's, maybe his disguise work isn't that great, and maybe just people just don't recognize him because they don't know what the fuck he looks like. But yeah, like,
Apparently, he just has confidence to pull it off. But
I
he's a
mean,
great actor, and he was actually supposed to be what's his face lead singer of Queen. He was supposed to be
yeah,
he's supposed to star in Queen, and then he had some differences with the directors or whatever, so he got so he got replaced. But
yeah, he wanted the like, I think it was actually the band members of Queen wanted more of the film to, like, showcase how the band was doing after Freddie Mercury died.
yeah, yeah.
And I think Sasha wasn't on board for that. I think he or maybe it was the other way around. Maybe it was like he was totally on board for them showcasing how Queen survived afterwards, but the studio was like,
Mhm.
no. There was some
I don't
there was
know what it was.
it was something to do with how much of the timeline covered Freddie
Right.
Mercury's reign in the film, and that caused some sort of creative difference.
But
Uh
he had gotten cast initially, and he had sold
yeah.
himself as. And then last year, he did a 6-issue miniseries for Netflix called The Spy, which he is, I mean, was fantastic in. It was a true story thriller spy show in Israel, and he was fantastic. The dude can act. I mean, I know most people only know him as Borat and Ali G, and Bruno and whatever, the
Oh,
dictator in his
I don't know.
comedies, but he can act, and I really want to see him in the Chicago 7. Something's telling me that it came out last week. If it did, I am behind. I don't think it did, but I really want to see that film because he looks great in it. And I want to see Borat too. I mean, I want to see his comedies just like I want to see his dramas.
I want to see the whole thing. Like, I didn't even see the Borat news until today.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was it was pretty nuts.
But that shot of Pence at the end, oh my gosh, you could tell he's just like, what is this?
Like, just his Trump costume was abysmally bad, which is
Oh, it was
again,
purposely bad. Like you
yeah,
knew it
it was
wasn't.
supposed to be bad, but yeah, like,
Yeah.
it was haunting, actually.
Oh my gosh.
It'd be
Anyway,
the only thing scarier than seeing Donald Trump
yeah.
in a dark alley in person is seeing Sacha Baron Cohen dressed up as him.
But apparently Borat's good because Amazon outbid Netflix, and that is not something you hear about very often. Netflix has a lot of money, and when they sometimes they buy more shit than they need, and everybody's like, "Where are you coming up with all this money?" But Amazon is over here like, "Oh, we also have shit ton of money," and apparently they liked it because they dropped some big bills on this. So I'm excited. Should be good.
Well, I've got a very short lightning round. I just had a couple things.
Okay.
Both of them are streaming related, but X-Men X2 is arriving on Disney Plus in October. So we'll see
Okay.
another Fox property coming over, and I actually really like X2.
Hell yeah, Nightcrawler.
Yeah. Man, I feel bad for what Alan Cumming had to do to make that role happen, but damn
I
if it
know.
didn't pay off. Like
Apparently, it didn't pay off enough for him to come back to it, though.
no. I think even in the behind the scenes for that film, it's just him like sitting in the makeup chair saying, "Never again. If they're gonna do a sequel, we're gonna have to talk."
Yeah, but he was amazing, man. He brought so much to that role.
He did a great job in that one,
It was
and so
incredible.
did Hugh Jackman. But I also wanted to announce something that might make you a little bit happy, is that I've started watching Schitt's Creek, and I really liked the first episode.
Oh yeah,
Based off of your recommendation, I was like, all right, Josh is gonna get mad if I don't at least have this, because you described it in I feel like you described it in a way specifically just to appeal to me. Be like, you don't even have to be paying direct attention to it. The stuff that you catch is gonna be great, and that's exactly what I did. And you know what fucking ended up happening? I ended up taking my attention off of what I was doing, and I was watching the show.
Nice.
But yeah, so I've started going through on that. But yeah, there's just a bunch of stuff that's like, obviously when you've got Halloween coming around the corner, you're gonna see a lot of horror stuff popping onto the streaming platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I'm gonna try, and I'm not gonna make any promises that I'm gonna be able to pull this off, but I'm gonna watch some classic horror films, like some classic old school ones. Some of them I've seen already, but I want to watch some like classic horror films, and get kind of like a review to them. Now, I know I've said that I'm gonna do movie reviews like over and over and over again, but I think it would be really cool to do movie reviews for a genre that's like really outside of my purview. And something that
Because everybody knows
watch
you're
a
not
lot
a
of.
horror guy, so I
No,
would
I'm not.
definitely be interested to see you reviewing a horror movie. Because yeah, I know that it's hard enough to get you to watch one that's current, let alone some classic ones.
So Chris Stuckman actually did a review of Poltergeist today. That came out October 1st for those who do not watch this live. I didn't mean that to sound so sassy. I'm sorry. If you watch this video at any time frame,
You didn't watch this live?
Like, but yeah, and I had forgotten about that movie, but I remember it because my parents, like, I watched it with my parents like a really long time ago, and I remember absolutely next to nothing about it, other than my mom telling me about how fucking terrifying it was for her, way back in the day.
Is that urban legend true about Poltergeist?
Which one?
The one that they used real skeletons in there.
I don't know. I don't know. I had not looked into that.
I've heard that, but I've never
considering Spielberg was involved, I would want to say no. That sounds like something outside of Spielberg's ethical guidelines.
I don't know. I'm reading here. Fun fact: the skeletons in the pool are actually real. I don't know how reputable this source is. Well, you'll have to let me know. You'll have to let me know. Are you going to watch the Poltergeist?
Yeah. I think that's going to be the first one to dive into, just based off of like that recommendation and the fact that it's like, I actually got to see, is it available anywhere to stream right now? And I watch. Yes, question. You can. Poltergeist is available on Netflix right now. Is it on American Netflix? Because I've been fooled by that before.
Right. Like, Google says it's available on Netflix.
It absolutely is. It started firing right up. So,
ooh, cool, man. I want to see what you think of that. It's been a while since I've watched it too. I want to go back and watch it. But yeah.
So I have like a rough idea of the plot points because I had Family Guy on in the background. They have a parody episode of it.
Yeah, they do.
So I have a rough idea of what goes on based off of that, like, or at least I guess some pivotal or some like key scenes. It's going to be kind of hard to not have that in my head while this is going on. But from what I remember about the movie is that there were, and Chris Stuckman like reiterated, there is some comedy in there, and the dad character, like the main whose name I already can't remember. That was also a point that was thrown at me by my parents a lot to kind of like get me into, like I said, we watched this when I was really young. They didn't want us to be freaked out by it, but it was right around the same time The Incredibles came out, because the dad in that movie plays Bob Parr, Mr. Incredible in The Incredibles movie.
Oh, that's right. Him. Yes, he played Coach as well.
Yeah.
That classic show Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know what you're talking about.
Just like there were a bunch of fun facts that were thrown out around that. It was also interesting to me that Spielberg was on board for this, but he wasn't behind the camera. So I guess he produced it. Like but it's
He
got like kind of
wrote
a
it
Spielberg
too.
feel for it.
Yeah, he
Um,
wrote it as well.
and I've also been told like by some fellow cinematography friends that horror films are a great reference into like kind of like the first works for a lot of people, especially some of the classic stuff, and that the like just for the film value, like there's something to see. And
Oh,
so
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
wanting to push myself into a career in cinematography or just filmmaking in general, I feel like it'd be a good route to go. So I don't want to say that I'm forcing myself because that's not the right word, but I'm going to push myself to
Force.
watch the film and film a review fresh off of it
Okay.
immediately after. And I'm going to try and do some other ones in the scary realms. So I need some recommendations for some like classic horror films because I guarantee I probably haven't seen it.
I mean,
So
yeah, just when
some of
we
the
talk about
Halloween
things.
films, the Texas Chainsaw like the classic horror slasher films, uh, probably going to try and cover into some of those because, like I said, haven't seen them. It's a travesty. I'm sure a lot of people are angry at me right now. But yeah, there's a lot of horror films out there that I just haven't seen.
Have you seen The Thing?
The original or the
The Kurt Russell.
yes,
Okay. 'Cause I guess
yeah,
that's more sci-fi, but that's also horror.
yeah,
But
and it felt more sci-fi.
what
Um,
did Brent say? The Poltergeist is an interesting history. Hooper was credited the director, but there's a lot of urban myths that he actually directed.
that Spielberg actually directed
Oh,
it.
that
Yeah,
Spielberg actually. Oh,
that was
interesting.
mentioned in that too. Um,
Brent
so
saying Alien, Halloween, Psycho. I'm sure you've seen Alien.
Alien I've seen.
I feel like if it's a sci-fi horror, you've probably seen it.
Yeah, that's kind.
It's
Maybe
straight up
I'll
horror.
watch it again because, like I said, it's been a long time since I've seen it. Like I saw Alien when I was a teenager. So
Oh god, I've seen Alien so many times.
it's been a bit.
Halloween, of course. Psycho is a good one.
Yeah,
Good suggestions, Brent.
Halloween, I have not seen. Psycho, I have not seen.
Oh,
So
really?
so
Halloween,
yeah,
you've not seen?
those will
Wow.
be new ones for me. I avoided the genre. I didn't care about
I
watching
guess you
horror
did.
films. Like it didn't it didn't really interest me. Sci-fi got me every time. Sci-fi got me
Yeah.
every time because I was really big into Star Wars and the whole sci-fi genre, and sci-fi got me every time.
Well,
So
hey, like we said at the beginning of the podcast, we're not necessarily going on hiatus, but we're
no,
not jumping into season 4 yet. Before we go back to another, we're kind of just going to take a break. A lot of things, most of Hollywood is being pushed to 2021. So it's not that we're not going to have content, probably still every week, but we're just not going to do a podcast show every week. So it's going to give Seth time to do some of these horror movie reviews. I have some movies to review as well. I watched these two movies last week. They're both 2020 movies. I Met a Girl is an Australian movie about a guy that's suffering from schizophrenia. That was really heartbreaking and really beautiful film. Ava is a horror film. It's not a horror film, but it was a horror to watch. It was the absolute shittiest female secret agent movie that starts with an A that I've seen ever. And the funny thing is, Common's in it, and he's on the poster with a gun. He never holds a gun in the whole movie. He is not. This is not from the same movie, and this isn't a fan made poster. And look at this. Academy Award nominee Jessica Chastain, Academy Award nominee John Malkovich, Academy Award winner Common, Academy Award winner Gina Davis, and Colin Farrell. Sadly, Colin Farrell has not been nominated yet, apparently. That cast, and you still, and from the director of The Girl on the Train, haven't seen that one either, but this is the shittiest movie I've seen in a long time, and I can't wait to do a full review on it. It was bad, folks. Both 2020 movies that recently dropped on streaming. So
brutality.
yeah, can't wait to talk about that in long form, but I didn't want to bog down a podcast with it.
No, we're
So
good. Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna look forward to some less live content. We'll be doing some pre-recorded stuff. And we'll get those out. We'll try and bump the quality up for you guys as much as we possibly can, because that's how we started out. Like we started out doing the podcast like live in person, or not live, but we were doing those in person. We were recording them beforehand and throwing them up on the board, throwing them up on the YouTubes that way. Yeah, we're things are going to slow down a little bit because everything else has been slow. We've been able to keep up with it, but yeah.
Rest assured, if something big drops, we'll address it
for sure.
We're not going to be like, yeah, we'll address it next year. when something big drops, we'll address it. But until things are back, I mean, the Alamo just closed back down again, so we're kind of following the Alamo rules. When shit happens, we'll address it. Otherwise, we're just kind of we'll be back when everything else is back. And your cat is just like, you're done, Dad, you're done.
It's been an hour and a half. He's like ready. All right, but yeah, so some more content still on the way, and yeah, make sure that you're subscribed so you can catch it. Follow us on social media so you know that it's coming. We're gonna take a lot. If I'm gonna be doing movie reviews, they're gonna be for all the movies that I haven't seen that's making Josh mad. So I'm gonna need recommendations of which ones to do first.
Yeah,
kind of go from there. So like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to our channel. Follow us on social media so you can be kept up with all that. And until next time, we'll see you guys again soon.
See ya.